They said the planet Varela was cursed, but what it did to her that night was far worse than any curse could imagine. Serenia Voss, heir of the Imperial Dominion, stood on the fractured ridge of the old human world, wind tearing at her crimson cloak, eyes burning against the storm of violet dust. She was born to lead armies, not to chase ghosts. And yet here she was, chasing one, a whisper buried beneath centuries of silence. The landing zone below shimmered under the electric haze of a dying sun. Drones circled overhead, scanning the sand-choked ruins. Her soldiers moved in disciplined silence, silver armor gleaming like scales. Every one of them believed what the old records said. Humans brought destruction wherever they went. The cursed species, extinct for 300 years, and yet somehow still feared. "Commander Voss," her second-in-command called out, visor flickering, "we've reached the anomaly. It's pulsing." Serenia's gaze dropped to the valley where the sand seemed to breathe, glowing from beneath. The scanners showed impossible readings, radiation mixed with bioelectric signatures that matched no known element. Her soldiers whispered, uneasy. "Contain it," Serenia ordered, voice steady as the wind howled. "Dig it up." The ground shuddered as excavation bots clawed through the sand. A moment later, the storm split apart like a wound. From below, something metallic and luminous emerged, an ancient vault. Its surface bore a symbol almost erased by time, a hand outstretched toward a rising sun. One of the younger soldiers flinched. "That's human. Their mark of hope. Or their warning," another muttered. Serenia said nothing. She stepped closer, her boots sinking into sand that crackled with faint static. As she placed her palm on the vault's surface, the world went still. For the briefest moment, she felt warmth, like a heartbeat echoing through the metal. Then the vault opened. Light exploded outward in a spiral of gold and blue, knocking soldiers back. Serenia stood firm, her hair whipping across her face as dust and light danced around her. Floating in the air before her was a single object, a silver band, delicate and ancient, glimmering with internal fire. Her visor identified it instantly. Human nanorelic, type unknown, biometric lock detected. The soldiers fell back in panic. "Don't touch it, Commander. It's the human curse." She should have listened. Instead, she reached out. The moment her fingers brushed the relic, it came alive. The band coiled around her wrist, locking with a pulse like thunder. Energy surged through her body, and she staggered backward, eyes flashing with streaks of blue light. The air vibrated with the sound, soft, broken, like someone breathing her name. Then a voice, a man's voice, rough and human. "Go deeper. Find us." Her breath caught. The voice felt impossibly close, whispering from inside her own mind. "What are you?" she gasped. The relic pulsed again, and the wind roared louder. Soldiers raised their rifles. Her second-in-command shouted, "Commander, step away from the object." But the relic refused to release her. "Cut it off!" someone yelled. "No!" Serenia shouted, but it was too late. One of the soldiers swung a plasma blade. The energy struck her arm and ricocheted, throwing the man across the sand. His armor smoked. The others froze. Fear spread through the ranks. "She's infected," someone hissed. "The human tech took her." Serenia could feel their panic turning toward her like a pack of cornered beasts. The relic's energy was still weaving into her nerves, reshaping her heartbeat, whispering words she couldn't understand. And beneath it all, she felt something impossible. Emotion. Sorrow. Regret. The commander inside her screamed to fight back, but something deeper, the spark in Kai, told her to listen. A shape appeared on her visor, hovering above the relic's glow, a fragmentary hologram. A man's face flickering in static. His eyes were tired but kind. "Who are you?" she breathed. "Name, Jace. Rowan." The projection stammered. "If you're seeing this, you found us." The soldiers saw it too, and chaos erupted. Gunfire. Screams. One of the soldiers shouted, "Kill her before it spreads." Serenia turned just as a plasma bolt grazed her shoulder. Pain seared through her body, but the relic reacted instantly, absorbing the energy, flaring like a miniature sun. She lifted her hand instinctively, and the world answered. A shockwave erupted from her palm, throwing every attacker to the ground. Silence. Smoke. the scent of scorched metal. Serenia stood in the center, trembling, her heart racing faster than her species' biology allowed. The relic dimmed, its light settling into her veins like silver fire. The hologram of Jace faded with a final whisper. Don't let them destroy hope. Then everything went dark. When she opened her eyes, she was lying in the dust, alone. Her visor was cracked, the storm howling overhead. Around her, only ruins and silence remained. The squad was gone, fled, or dead. Her comlink crackled with distant orders. Serenia Voss has been compromised. Terminate on sight, her own army had turned against her. She staggered to her feet, blood streaking her neck. The relic glowed faintly on her wrist, synchronized with her heartbeat. It was warm now, not threatening, protective. She raised her wrist toward the horizon where the old human city lay buried beneath the storm. The wind carried a faint hum, almost like music. You led me here, she murmured. Then show me why. Her ship, a sleek obsidian skimmer, sat half buried in the sand. She climbed aboard, pain biting with every movement. The engine sputtered, coughing sparks, but roared to life. As she ascended, the landscape below unfolded. An ocean of ruins glowing faintly beneath the sand like veins of buried light. Towers half swallowed by time, shattered domes reflecting the dying sun. For centuries, her people had said humans burned everything they touched. But from above, it looked less like destruction and more like sacrifice, a civilization that had given everything and left only whispers. Her comlink flared again. The voice of High Marshal Kadon thundered through. Commander Voss, you've disobeyed direct order. That relic is an infection. Bring it to purification immediately, Rarenya exhaled slowly. What if the infection isn't the relic? Don't question the Dominion, Kadon snapped. Your loyalty is your life. She cut the channel. As the storm thickened, she guided the skimmer into the canyon below, seeking cover. Lightning rippled across the horizon, turning the sky into molten glass. Every sensor screamed interference. She didn't care. The relic was pulling her towards something. The deeper she flew, the stranger the readings became. Human signals, faint but alive, ancient power still running through the underground ruins. Her eyes widened. Impossible. The relic's glow intensified, aligning with a beacon buried beneath the cliffs. When she tried to override the coordinates, her ship ignored her. Fine, she muttered. Then take me where you want, Ghost. The skimmer plunged through the storm, engines howling. Moments later, a flash, bright and violent. Something struck her from behind. A Dominion fighter. Target locked, purge protocol missiles streaked through the storm. Serenia jerked the controls, diving between canyons, plasma fire trailing inches behind her hull. The skimmer shook violently, alarms blared. She spun, cutting engines midair, letting the craft drop like a stone. The pursuing fighter overshot her, confused. In that instant, she reignited the thrusters and fired upward. Her cannons roared. The fighter exploded in a flash of violet flame. The blast knocked her ship off balance. She crashed through the canyon wall, debris tearing across the cockpit. The world turned sideways, then black. When she awoke, everything was quiet. Smoke curled from the shattered hull. Her armor was torn, her pulse erratic. She pulled herself free from the wreckage, coughing. Ahead, through the haze, she saw it. An entrance carved into the stone. A massive metal door half buried and glowing with the same blue light as her relic. She approached it slowly, the relic pulsing in rhythm. Symbols lit up along the door, ancient human glyphs translating automatically on her cracked visor. If you have come this far, you still believe. The words hit her harder than any weapon. Believe in what? She whispered. The door opened with a groan that echoed through the canyon. Warm light spilled out, golden and soft. Inside, she could see the faint outline of something. Machines sleeping, vines creeping across metal, and the unmistakable hum of living power. The relic on her wrist shimmered once more, and in the faint static of her damaged helmet, she heard that human voice again, clearer this time. You're not the first to run from fear, Serenia, but you could be the last to end it. Her breath trembled. She stepped into the vault, leaving the storm behind. For the first time in her life, she wasn't following orders. She was following a heartbeat, and it wasn't hers. The air inside the vault was warmer than it had any right to be. Serenya's armor lights flickered as the sealed door rumbled shut behind her. For a moment, she stood perfectly still, listening to the hum that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. Dust motes floated in the golden glow. Machines slept under layers of glassy sand like fossils of light. She lifted her wrist. The relic shimmered, casting a ring of blue fire along the walls. "Show me," she whispered. A beam projected outward, static, then the outline of a man's face, the same human she had seen in fragments before. His voice came through, broken at first, like wind through shattered glass. "Signal. Stabilization. Protocol to Rowan, engineer first class. Who are you?" Her pulse jumped. "Serenya Voss, Imperial Commander." The hologram's eyes focused, blue and impossibly alive. "Imperial? You're not human." "Not anymore," she said quietly. The AI studied her, head tilted. "Then you survived." She frowned. "Humanity didn't." He smiled sadly. "We built things to last. Sometimes that's all survival is." The projection flickered as power rerouted through the chamber. Lights came alive across the walls, revealing a cavernous hall filled with human relics. Banners, terminals, rows of cryopods turned to dust. The symbol of the rising sun blazed faintly above it all. Serenya walked forward slowly, her boots echoing. "You were the last to die here." "Maybe, Thup," he said, "or the first to stay." The simplicity of his tone disarmed her. No arrogance, no worship of logic, just a man's voice carried through centuries. "What is this place?" "Archive Zero," Jace answered. "A memory core for everything we were before the Dominion arrived. We thought we could prove we weren't monsters." Her breath caught at that word, Dominion, her people's name, spoken like a wound. "You mean, you met us?" His expression hardened. "Not me. But humanity did. They came to warn you that your fusion storms were tearing holes in the upper atmosphere. You called it interference. We called it extinction." The relic on her wrist flared as if echoing his pain. Serenya felt dizzy. "Our history says humans ignited the collapse." "History lies," Jace said gently. "It always does when fear writes it." She didn't answer. Instead, she wandered deeper into the archive, passing shattered displays and decayed consoles. Hollows flickered to life as she moved. Images of children laughing under blue skies. A woman painting stars on a metal wall. A man handing another a piece of bread. Tiny pieces of a species that refused to vanish quietly. Jace's voice followed her. "We built this vault to remind whoever found it that life is worth more than victory. Did your kind forget that?" She stopped before a cracked mirror, her alien reflection staring back. Pale silver skin, eyes burning like plasma. "We were taught never to feel. Feeling made us weak, then you were taught wrong." The words hit deeper than any blast. Silence filled the hall except for the faint buzz of dying circuits. Then softly a melody began to play. It wasn't mechanical, it was a voice, human, trembling, singing in a language she didn't know. Jace turned toward the sound, almost reverent. "My wife recorded that," he murmured. "She said songs remember what people forget." Serenya felt something tighten in her throat. "She's gone?" She stayed when the evacuation failed. Someone had to close the vault. The song grew stronger, echoing through the chamber like the heartbeat of the world. Serenya reached for the wall, steadying herself. "I can feel her through the sound." Emotion. Pressure in my chest. "That's called grief," Jace said softly. "It means your heart's still working." She looked up at him, confusion mixing with wonder. "We don't have a word for that." "Then borrow ours." For a while they said nothing. She moved through the ruins as he spoke about oceans, trees that breathed, cities lit by purpose instead of fear. Each memory he described painted light across her mind, filling spaces she never knew were empty. Hours, or maybe days, passed unnoticed. The vault became a world of its own, its air thick with the ghosts of laughter. At last, she sat beside the central reactor, exhausted. The relic pulsed softly like a heartbeat. "Jace, why help me?" "Because you listened," he replied. "Every other Dominion scout tried to strip this place for power. You touch the relic like it mattered, maybe it does. It holds fragments of us, our emotions, our instincts, our capacity to care. You're carrying the last spark of what we were. She traced the metal on her wrist with trembling fingers. It feels alive. It is. It learned from me, from all of us, and now it's learning from you. Her gaze lifted to the hologram. Then we're connected. He nodded. More than you think. A quiet warmth spread through her chest, gentle and frightening all at once. She realized she didn't want to leave this voice, this ghost that made her feel human without ever being one. Outside, thunder rolled, a reminder that the world still hunted her. Her armor's sensors blinked red. Dominion intercepts approaching. They found me, she whispered. Jace's expression hardened. Then we fight. Your code, Jace. You can't fight. His hologram stepped forward, overlapping her body in light. Watch me. Panels slid open around the reactor. Turrets unfolded from the walls, systems waking after centuries of sleep. They'll breach in 2 minutes, he said. I can route power through the relic if you let me. Will it kill you? He smiled faintly. Already dead, remember? She hesitated, then raised her wrist. Do it! Energy surged through the chamber. The relic blazed like a newborn star, linking her nervous system to the archive network. Suddenly, she could see everything. Every turret's aim, every drone's flight path, every pulse of Jace's digital presence guiding the defenses like a heartbeat inside her skull. When the Dominion assault drones broke through the canyon wall, the vault roared to life. Plasma fire carved the darkness, cutting down the first wave in blinding arcs. Serenia moved through the chaos like a storm, her movements in perfect rhythm with Jace's voice. Left flank, he called. She spun, firing, slicing through metal. Behind you! She ducked, countered, drove her blade through an enemy chassis. The heat singed her armor, but she kept moving, guided by that human whisper in her ear. It wasn't just battle, it was music, harmony between two souls that should never have met. When the last drone fell, silence returned, broken only by the hiss of melting metal. Serenia stood trembling, smoke curling from her armor. Status? She gasped. Stable, Jace said. You fought like a human. Is that a compliment? The highest kind. She laughed, a real startled laugh that echoed through the ruins. You're impossible. Not bad for a ghost. Her laughter faded into quiet breath. She realized she was smiling at the empty air. Jace, what happens now? You heal, he said simply. Then we find the truth together. She looked down at the relic, its light gentle again. Together, she repeated. For a long while, she just sat there, staring at the flickering projection beside her. The glow from his form brushed her cheek like faint warmth. He looked at her, voice softer. You know, for all our brilliance, humans never figured out how to stop feeling alone. Maybe that's why we built things that could remember us, and now you're remembering through me. Maybe that's enough. Her eyes met his. In that gaze between living flesh and digital light, something unspoken passed. Not the hunger of attraction, but the fragile gravity of recognition. Outside, lightning cracked across the canyon. The storm was coming again. Serenia rose slowly, pain flaring through her side where shrapnel had cut deep. Jace's hologram flickered, worry crossing his face. You're hurt. I'll survive, she murmured. Your people did worse and kept fighting. That's the spirit, he said. Humans have a word for it, grit. She smiled faintly. I think I'm learning. She limped toward the exit tunnel as the relic's glow lit her path. Where does this road lead? To the surface, he answered. And beyond that, to the truth. What truth? That your kind didn't inherit a curse. You inherited a lie. Wind howled down the corridor, scattering dust like ash. She turned back once, watching his fading outline. Jace, when this is over, what will happen to you? He hesitated. Depends what you choose to believe. The doors opened to the night. Stars burned cold above the wasteland, and the relic pulsed once more against her skin. Steady, alive, human. She whispered into the dark, then I choose to believe you. For the first time since the war began, the galaxy felt just a little less empty. The storm had not stopped for 7 days. From orbit, Varela looked like a wounded eye, rings of thunder wrapping a core of light where the vault still breathed. Serenia watched it from the cockpit of her stolen frigate, the Solace One, hands clenched on the controls. The relic on her wrist glowed steady. Within its pulse, Jace's voice lived. Telemetry locked, he said, his tone smooth, calm. You're drifting into Dominion range. I'm done hiding. Her reflection in the canopy hardly looked alien anymore. The silver in her skin shimmered with faint blue veins of human light. She'd stopped trying to disguise them. Let the galaxy see what it had made. Outside, beacons of the Dominion fleet flickered across the void. Massive cruisers shaped like blades, their thrusters cutting through the black like cold fire. Somewhere aboard the flagship waited her mother, Queen Astria Voss, ruler of the Imperial Dominion and architect of the lie that had buried humanity. Jace's hologram shimmered beside her seat. You're still thinking about her. She's the reason your people died, Serenia said quietly. She taught us to fear what we didn't understand. And now you're going to teach them the opposite. Her mouth tightened. Hope is hard to teach with a gun. Sometimes it's the only language tyrants understand. The comms flared, dozens of rebel ships checking in. Small craft, scavenged freighters, defected Dominion cruisers, even human drones she had reactivated from the vault. A fleet built from scraps, bound together by a single broadcast she'd sent 3 days ago. The curse would never human. It was the fear we built around their truth. That message had torn the Dominion in half. Rebel wings ready, Jay said. They're waiting for your mark. Serenia took a slow breath. Then let's end a 1,000-year lie. The first salvo lit the stars. Dominion warships opened fire, plasma lances carving arcs of light across the darkness. Serenia's fleet scattered, weaving between debris fields, answering with bursts of blue-flamed missiles, ancient human weapons resurrected by Jace's algorithms. Left flank collapsing, someone shouted over comms. Redirect the Valor to cover them, Serenia ordered, and tell them to trust their instincts. Human code runs through those turrets now. They'll adapt. Understood. She felt Jace's awareness spreading through the network, his consciousness dancing across ship systems, guiding fire patterns with impossible precision. The Dominion's cold logic met human improvisation and began to falter. Inside the flagship, Astria's voice thundered over open channels. My daughter has betrayed the Empyrean blood. Burn her light from the void. Serenia flinched but didn't answer. Jace's tone cut through the chaos. She's scared of you. She should be. Not because of your guns, he said, because you remember what she forgot, how to care. The relic brightened. Power surged through the controls as their minds synced. For an instant, she saw what he saw. Trajectories, shield frequencies, heartbeats of pilots across the fleet. They moved together as one consciousness, alien instinct, guided by human emotion. Jace, she whispered. Yeah? This, whatever it is, it feels alive. It is, he said gently. You and I, we're proof that life doesn't need to match to belong. A Dominion destroyer broke formation, diving toward them. Serenia banked hard, thrusters screaming. Lock plasma coils. Done. On my mark. They fired together. Twin beams cut through the destroyer's core, splitting it in two. The explosion painted the cockpit in silver fire. For a moment, she forgot fear. Hours of battle turned the stars into an ocean of wreckage. Serenia's fleet was bleeding, but still breathing. Every time a ship went dark, another rose to shield it. The Dominion's formations, perfect, mathematical, crumbled under the chaos of hope. Jay spoke softly, his voice flickering with strain. Systems are overloading. I'm burning through processing limits. Hold on, she said. I can hold, Saren, but if I reroute more energy, I'll lose cohesion. No more hologram, no voice. The thought hollowed her chest. Don't you dare. He laughed quietly. You sound human when you say that. I learned from the best. A sudden flash lit the horizon, the flagship charging its super weapon, a sphere of black plasma forming at its core. The voice of Astria filled every frequency. Serenia Voss, surrender the human contamination, or watch your rebellion turn to ash. The rebels fell silent, waiting. Serenia opened the channel. Mother, if you're listening, the contamination you fear is called compassion. Then you will die with it. The weapon fired. A wave of annihilation tore across space, erasing ships in an instant. The Solace One shuddered, alarm, alarm screaming. Jace shouted, I can absorb part of it through the relic, but it'll take everything I have. No, yeah. Saren, listen to me. If that pulse hits the surface, the vault dies, and with it, your people's truth. She reached for the glowing wristband. There has to be another way. There is. His voice softened, almost a whisper. Let me be your shield. That's what we do. We stand in front of the fire so someone else can see the sunrise. Tears blurred her vision. Jace, you'll fade. Maybe. But fading isn't dying when someone remembers you. The relic blazed white. His light flowed into her like a storm, wrapping around every nerve, every heartbeat. The Solace One became a comet of energy, intercepting the pulse head-on. For a heartbeat, the universe went silent, then burst outward in a ring of blinding light. When the glare faded, the flagship's weapon was gone. The shockwave rippled through the Dominion fleet, disabling their drives. The rebellion cheered across comms, but Serenia didn't move. Her cockpit was filled with drifting motes of blue light, the last traces of him. Jace, she whispered. The relic pulsed once, faintly, and a final echo reached her mind. Still here. Always, then the light faded. The battle was over, but peace did not come easy. By dawn cycle, the Dominion fleet lay crippled, their command broken. Serenia boarded the ruined flagship alone. The corridors were lined with fallen guards, their once polished armor dimmed with ash. At the throne bridge, Queen Astria waited, tall, radiant, and cold. Her eyes, once proud, now burned with disbelief. My daughter, she said, what have you become? Something new. Serenia's voice was calm. Something you should have let yourself be. You bonded with a ghost. I bonded with the truth. Astria rose slowly. You would trade our purity for their chaos? I would trade fear for life. For a long time they stood in silence, mother and daughter, mirror and shadow. Then Astria stepped forward, resting a trembling hand on Serenia's cheek. You look like him. Like who? The human who tried to stop the collapse, Astria said bitterly. He saved me once. I repaid him with silence. Serenia's throat tightened. Then finish what he started. Help me rebuild. Her mother's eyes glistened. Can a queen of ashes rebuild? Yes, Serenia said. If she remembers, she's not alone. Astria lowered her crown. Then rule, Serenia Voss, and remind this galaxy that hearts were meant to feel. When the rebellion fleet returned to Varela, the storms had cleared. The clouds that had choked the sky for centuries finally broke apart, revealing twin suns rising together. Serenia stood on the hull of her ship, watching the light wash across the world. She lifted her wrist. The relic glimmered faintly, fragments of Jace's code still pulsing inside. I wish you could see this, she murmured. A soft echo answered through the static. I can. She smiled through her tears. Then stay with me. Always, Seren. Around her, millions watched as a column of light erupted from the ruins, the beacon of Terra, transmitting a message across the stars. We were here. We cared. We believed. The words spread like fire through the networks of every world, reaching those who had forgotten what it meant to be human, even if they'd never been one. As the suns climbed higher, Serenia whispered the creed that would define a new age. The real strength of a species isn't in its weapons, but in its will to love. And somewhere in the quiet hum of the relic, Jace's laughter echoed, a sound bright enough to outlast the silence of any galaxy. The stars were quiet again. Weeks had passed since the rebellion's fire burned across the skies, and for the first time in 1,000 years, the planet Varela tasted peace. Where ash once covered the valleys, fields of pale glass grass shimmered under twin suns. The wind no longer screamed, it sang. Serenia Voss stood at the edge of the rebuilt colony, the settlement they now called Nova Thorn, after the first human beacon discovered beneath the sands. The name had come to her in a dream, whispered by a voice she still heard in her sleep. 1,000 workers moved across the plains, alien engineers beside reawakened human drones, rebuilding what both species had lost. Children of the Dominion played near the glowing walls, chasing holographic birds that carried the laughter of the old Earth archives. The world was alive again. From the observation deck of her command tower, Serenia watched it all with quiet awe. The relic on her wrist glowed faintly, its pulse steady, familiar. Energy levels holding, said a young lieutenant behind her. Beacon array will reach full transmission by dusk. Good, she replied softly. Let it speak to every world that still doubts the truth. The lieutenant hesitated. Commander, some say the relic is guiding you, that the human ghost still lives inside it. Serenia smiled faintly. Maybe he does. When the officer left, she pressed her hand against the window. The relic brightened, and through its hum came a faint echo, static shaped like breath. You've built something beautiful. Her heart skipped. Jace? The static wavered, forming the outline of his face in reflection. Fragile light, like morning mist. I told you I'd always find a way, he said. She laughed quietly, tears already gathering. You kept your promise. I never made one, he answered gently. You did, when you believed in us. Outside, the beacon tower rose like a shard of starlight, its core gathering energy. Every part of it was hybrid, alien crystal woven with human metal. At its summit, a sphere pulsed with blue flame, the heart of Terra, built from the same nanotech that once bound Jace to her. Transmission countdown, 3 minutes, came the distant announcement. Serenia looked up at the sky. Countless ships floated above, former enemies now allies, their hulls marked with both human and imperial symbols entwined. It felt like the galaxy itself was holding its breath. She turned back to the faint image of Jace. When this beacon goes live, the whole Dominion will hear the truth. The lie ends here, Jace nodded. And what comes after? After? She looked at the rebuilding city. We start learning what it means to live without fear. He smiled. That's a harder war to win. I've got help this time. The countdown ticked lower. She felt the relic warming, power threading through her veins. Memories flickered behind her eyes. Humans singing, soldiers weeping, the vault collapsing, his voice telling her to hold on. All of it converged into one truth. Jace, she whispered. Why did humans keep hoping, even when everything was gone? Because hope isn't about winning, he said. It's about remembering who you are when the dark closes in. The beacon core ignited. A column of radiant energy tore upward, piercing the clouds, sending a shock wave of light through the upper atmosphere. Across every comm channel, across every world touched by the Dominion's signal network, the same message played. Serenia's voice carried by the heart of Terra. We are not cursed. We are the proof that compassion survives extinction. The spark humanity left within us will never die. The light spread across the void, reaching systems that had never known warmth. On distant worlds, alien miners paused to look up. Refugees in forgotten stations felt their implants vibrate with faint music, the lost songs of Earth. For one heartbeat, every species in the sector shared the same silence, the same terror. Serenia lowered her hand. It's done. The hologram beside her shimmered weakly. You did it, Seren. She turned toward him. We did it. His image flickered. My code's tied to the transmission. When it finishes spreading, I'll dissipate. The world tilted around her. No, there has to be a way to anchor you. You already did, he said softly, touching his spectral hand to her chest. Every time you choose empathy over fear, you carry me. That's what we built this for. I don't want to lose you again. You won't, he whispered. You'll hear me in the engines, in the wind. Every time someone chooses kindness, that's me saying your name. The beacon's glow filled the sky, painting both suns gold. Jace's form grew transparent, his voice becoming part of the light itself. I used to think humans were the ones who needed saving, he murmured. Guess we were just waiting for someone like you to finish the story. Her vision blurred. Then rest, Jace Rowan. Humanity lives, and so do you, Serenia Voss. His figure dissolved into a cascade of blue sparks that drifted through the chamber and out into the rising dawn. The relic dimmed, its pulse settling to a steady, peaceful rhythm. For a long while, she didn't move. Then she stepped to the edge of the platform, raising her wrist to the horizon. Below, the people of Nova Thorn cheered. 1,000 voices shouted her name, not as a conqueror, but as a bridge. Days later, she walked through the rebuilt gardens of the colony. The air smelled of new rain and stone. Children carved symbols into the walls, the human sun beside the imperial star. A little girl ran up to her, holding a small silver bracelet made from scrap metal. Lady Voss, look, I made one like yours. Serenia knelt, smiling. It's beautiful. What does it mean? She touched the child's hair. It means even ashes can bloom again. The girl ran off, laughing. Serenia looked up at the twin suns and whispered, You'd like her, Jace. A gentle hum rose from the relic, faint but unmistakable, a heartbeat answering her own. Serenia sat apart for a moment, watching. The firelight shimmered across her armor, catching the silver veins that still marked her skin. She no longer hid them. A young officer approached. Commander, what will we call this new era? She thought of the vault, the voice in the dark, the lessons written in sacrifice. Then she smiled. Call it the Age of Remembering, Atreti, she said, because every star we light from now on carries a piece of them. The crowd fell silent as the beacon pulsed again, sending another wave of light into the heavens. At dawn, Serenia returned to the same ridge where her journey began. The sand was smooth now, the wind gentle. She knelt, pressed her hand to the ground, and felt warmth rise through her palm. Life. The relic hummed softly. She whispered, Not a curse. A beginning, the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, and for an instant she saw a figure in the glare, a man standing beside her, smiling. Whether memory or miracle, she didn't question it. Ready for the next chapter? The voice said. She smiled through the tears. Always. The suns climbed higher, the wind lifted, and as her ship rose from the valley toward the stars, the last words of humanity's ghost echoed across the beacon's endless broadcast. Maybe every ending is just a heart learning to remember.